The postcard pastoral landscapes of the Transkei disguise the depressing conditions at the schools that thousands of pupils attend every day. The mud schools in the Transkei are in dire straits, and after almost a decade of broken promises regarding the eradication of these schools, it is time to find out why. The question is, why has it taken so long? Whose role is it to eradicate these schools? And what is the impact behind such a delay? We speak to the Legal Resource Centre in Grahamstown, who have been involved with the Transkei mud schools since 2009.
There are approximately, the number is not exact, but approximately 500 mud schools, or inappropriate structures as they're also called, in the Eastern Cape, and they are almost all in the former Transkei.
We focus on two particular districts, Libode and Dutywa, because they have both been affected differently by this eradication process. To better understand the mud school issue, we contacted Equal Education, an NGO based in Cape Town that works for the equality of South African education. We speak to campaign manager Adam Sack.
When it comes to mud schools in the Eastern Cape, these are most likely or probably the worst schools in the worst states. It's hard to really explain without actually having, if the viewer hasn't been inside the mud school. Just picture it like this. The entire classroom, if you're standing in a classroom, is made out of mud. So they're schools that can't wait 10 years to be fixed. They need to be fixed now.
As you can see, these schools are clearly an infringement on a child's right to basic education. And something needs to be done about the eradication of these mud schools. The government seems to feel the same, yet these sentiments have been around since 2004. What promises have been made between then and now?
In 2004, former President Thabo Mbeki ensured that by the end of that year, no learner would be learning.
In 2006, Mkangeli Matamela, the MEC for Education in the Eastern Cape, commented on his confidence that the mud schools would be eradicated in the next 2
In 2007, then Education Minister Naledi Pandor said that 50% of all mud schools will be rebuilt.
In 2008, then MEC for Education Mahlubandile Kwasi told his plans to fast-track the eradication.
In 2011, Motshekga, Basic Education Minister, said that by 2014, all the mud schools would be eradicated in the Eastern Cape province.
But 2 years later, she explained that they should be done in 2015.
Look, if you're asking me if I'm surprised that people in government have made promises and have not kept them, that's what government officials do. They make promises, they don't deliver, and it's about us trying to force them to deliver on those promises and put pressure on them.
Pressure was put on the Department of Basic Education when the LRC took legal action against them at the Bishu High Court in 2009. The LRC litigated on behalf of 7 mud schools.
One of the major reasons that the case was so important was that all progress had basically come to a standstill. There was no movement for a couple of years.
The construction of one of the LRC's 7 schools, Namandla, is evidence that the lawsuit did result in some change and steady improvement. But why is it that other mud schools have not seen any change at all? What are the problems hindering this eradication process?
Some of those problems relate to bad weather conditions, shortages of materials like bricks and corrugated iron for roofing, simply because the scale of the building program was such that the Eastern Cape simply couldn't handle that amount of material. So there have been shortages which have slowed down the building process.
To investigate the reasons behind the slow building process, we speak to the Department of Education's Director of Infrastructure, Aldred Frey.
Our province, especially that part of the province, it's extremely rural. Road conditions are very bad. To get to those schools, you need to have good roads. And I think one of the obstacles is the accessibility. And then the second thing, of course, is the availability of material. And then the third thing is also to get good contractors to go and build those schools in the time afforded in terms of the contract period. And we know by now, that they have not been able to do that.
Project manager Siyabulela Ntanza admits they're behind schedule, but that there are unavoidable reasons for this delay.
We have been delayed just a little bit, I can say. Actually, let me be specific. We're 1 month behind our program. Reason being is that this area that we're building in has a lot of rock, hard rock that is, so it's not easy for the guys to do the excavations and continue up with the construction works.
It seems that there are different parties responsible for the lack of infrastructure and development. However, is there money for infrastructure in the first place? And if so, how is it being spent?
The Department of Education in the Eastern Cape spends far too much of its budget on personnel. So where most provinces spend in the region of 75 to 80% of their budget on teachers and various staff, the Eastern Cape is upwards of 90%. So very little money is left for things like improving infrastructure.
We asked Dutywa District Director Agrippa Dwangu how he feels about the budget crisis.
It's an unfortunate thing because really we have these employees that we cannot wish away. They have got to be paid, but then we still need money. For example, in my district, you'll find that in the past 3 years, there is not a single school that has been built. The last time the school was built was in 2009. You see, and now we have a backlog of about 86 mud schools that need to be built.
To elaborate on the issue of the mud schools in his district, Mr. Dwangu takes us to Bongweni, a mud school in great need of governmental attention.
As far as I know is that since 1994, this school has been like this. We have been crying and calling for it to be built, but we didn't get a positive response.
The government promised us that they were going to build many years back, but they don't do that promises. Now we have got lost the promises from the government. The government gave nothing with this school.
The fact that infrastructure is not receiving the correct percentage of the budget is a problem alone. But is the money that they do have being spent correctly? The Accelerated Schools Infrastructure Development Initiative, or ASIDI, has a list that decides which schools are rebuilt and when. But according to the LRC, in cases such as the construction of Bomvini, the prioritizing of schools on the list is largely controversial.
There is a school which is being replaced at the moment, but it only has 137 children, and it's in a very remote part of the country. So the chances of the numbers increasing at that school are virtually none. Yet, 15 minutes drive away, there's a school called Samson Senior Primary School, which has over 220 children, and it has no school. It's simply using the community rondavels and the community church and the community church hall, which are all mud structures on the verge of collapse.
We visited Samson, a school that has not received any attention from the ASIDI program.
I am not on the list, because when I was there on the department, I want to know, I am on the list or not. They said no.
What communications have you had with the Department of Education?
Hey, we're working with the Department of Education. The district manager, Mr. Nuku. I have write letters to her asking why I have no school. Why my school has not built. But no reply.
We met Dr. Soyesile Nuku, Libode District Director, to investigate the alleged neglect of Samson.
I have to be honest here. I don't know if there were teams ever requested to go there from our office. But the point I'm making, the strong point I'm making about the Samson is that Samson is going to benefit in the third cohort of our ASIDI program.
With the remaining mud schools divided into 3 cohorts, this third batch is planned to be completed by 2017. It is only the second batch of schools that is scheduled to be eradicated by 2015, and not all mud schools in the Eastern Cape.
Unless there'll be drastic measures to beef up the construction, then that will be possible. But if it is just it's just done by the only people who are there now. Now 2015 will be not realistic.
But the question is there a guarantee that by 2017 all mud schools will be eradicated? Or is it just another promise yet to be broken?